A friend from Guangdong told me just now that the distribution of fans of Sima Nan channel is highest in Guangdong province, higher than that in Beijing. I didn't expect this. Thanks to the comrades in Guangdong and Foshan. Sima Nan was polite. I saw this news on Guo Songmin's Taoxiao account. Congo, Kinshasa, President Tshisekedi, who is visiting China, led a delegation to present a flower basket at the Chairman Mao Memorial Hall. After watching for a long time, I was very moved, and I thought of some very complicated content. Not long ago, there were photos of foreign leaders visiting Chairman Mao at the Memorial Hall, and I also saw them. At that time, I wanted to write something. For reasons that everyone can understand, I didn't write a long article. 1. For those who love Chairman Mao, nothing can shake their love for Chairman Mao, and nothing can replace it. People who are obsessed with Chairman Mao, no matter what kind of banner they are playing, what rationality, openness, tolerance, universal values, human society must always move forward, etc., evil intentions can never be hidden. An old friend, he is very good in other aspects, he is a well-bred person, but when it comes to treating Comrade Mao Zedong's great historical achievements, I can't stand his crow's mouth and his extreme disrespect to Chairman Mao. I told him in private, please respect our feelings for Chairman Mao, okay? How long has your grandfather been dead? Always scolding Chairman Mao for something about your grandfather has lowered your personality. I don't know about your grandfather's situation, but if you take the family's personal grievances as the standard for measuring historical figures, aren't you a little narrow-minded? Are you suffering from a sequelae? Just leave it alone, break up. The three views are seriously inconsistent, and friends can't do it. If you break it, break it. Let him scold Chairman Mao, let him take those rumors and the materials accumulated by the public for decades to bark at the towering Kunlun. He himself admitted that there are more and more hairy fans, and more small hairy fans. It is ridiculous that he said that the increasing number of hairy fans is the result of being brainwashed by Sima Nan. He also likes to talk about the will of history, but his will of history is driven by public knowledge and goes in a different direction, not by the people and not in the direction of socialism. 2. In the long-term practice of revolution and construction, Chairman Mao found a practical road to save the country and the people. The theory that guides the Chinese Communist Party and the Chinese people to firmly follow this road is Mao Zedong thought. This idea has enriched Marxism and educated several generations of Chinese communists. Without exception, all subsequent leaders grew up under the guidance of this idea. Some people only recognize the correct role of Comrade Mao Zedong before 1949, and deny that Mao Zedong thought, as the root theory of meta-theory, has played an important role in creating and building socialism with Chinese characteristics. This is extremely unfair and unwise. It's like building a building with more than 100 floors. You only admit that the foundation is well laid, but you don't recognize the first 30 floors of the high-rise building, and you try your best to boast about the last dozens of floors. Isn't this mental retardation? Comrade Deng Xiaoping once said that the banner of Mao Zedong thought should not be thrown away, and throwing it away would actually negate the glorious history of our party. The principle of holding high the banner of Mao Zedong thought should not be shaken at any time, and we will always march forward with the banner of Mao Zedong thought high. The guiding position of Mao Zedong thought is clearly stated in the party constitution and the constitution, so I will not repeat it here. 3. It is a pity that in those years when historical nihilism was rampant, Comrade Deng Xiaoping's correct proposition was not effectively implemented. The unfair evaluation of Comrade Mao Zedong as the greatest historical nihilism is the root of many problems today. Ye Shui and other veterans once said in the most plain words, none of us are fuel-efficient lamps. Without Chairman Mao, the Chinese Revolution would still be wandering in the dark. With such a weak revolutionary force, if you listen to the truth in Moscow, you will screw up your performance. Follow the rules of the Communist International to carry out a revolution. All of them were eloquent, and some were fluent in Russian than their mother tongue. The Chinese Revolution suffered repeated setbacks, and even suffered almost annihilation. 4. Mao Zedong was looked down upon for a long time, because he could not speak Mandarin, and Hunan dialect was difficult to understand, because he was stubborn, and his rural background was not that prominent, because he did not study abroad, because he was not even a formal student of Peking University, because he was scolded as the leader of the ruffian movement because he insisted on taking the road of encircling the city from the countryside. Listen carefully to the highest instructions. Translated from Russian. He was not only concerned with the book, but with the facts. It was later proved that he was right. According to his thinking, the Chinese Revolution had 9 bends and 18 bends in the Yellow River. 5. He himself is a legend. The sweeping monk counterattacked, and all the talents from all over the world were included under his command, which completely changed the destiny of the Chinese nation. In terms of political foresight, he is farsighted. In terms of revolutionary beliefs, he is unwavering. In terms of courageous pioneering, he is extraordinary. In terms of the art of struggle, he is proficient. In terms of leadership skills, he is outstanding. He is magnanimous and selfless in his heart. When it comes to connecting with the people, look at the snake-like crowd in front of Tiananmen Square, whether it is windy or rainy in midwinter, midsummer, or look at Shaoshan Square. Those who have traveled thousands of miles to come here. Kneeling on the ground with the plop, the tearful elders and the whispering common people. The torrent of tears is the best proof. Our chairman Mao dedicated his whole life to the Chinese people. The predecessors planted trees and the descendants took shade. Chairman Mao is a towering tree. His thoughts, his name, his demeanor, his style, his warnings, especially his oath to return to Jinggangshan, the people will never forget. Mao Zedong's banner will always guide us forward. 6. Some people made a fuss about Comrade Mao Zedong's mistakes, and even came out to talk about Comrade Mao Zedong's mistakes every time he passed away or on his birthday. Some people make themselves up to be perfect, as if they were talking about the mistakes of Comrade Mao Zedong, and they are insulated from the mistakes, and they become a shining insulator of the mistakes of the town hall. Is there anyone who does not make mistakes? In building socialism in such a backward colonial and semi-colonial country, detours are inevitable. The process of trial and error is also a process of progress and success. When climbing a mountain, how do you calculate which step is right and which step is wrong? How to calculate which step should be taken and which step is unnecessary to move? The process of overcoming thorns and opening up a path to victory has never been walked by the predecessors, and success is victory. Why can't we look at the issue historically, comprehensively, dialectically, and impartially? Has anyone blazed a more correct path than Mao Zedong? Zhuliang condescendingly judged Mao Zedong after the fact, and attributed all his mistakes to Mao Zedong. Are you worthy? Simply attribute the mistakes in historical adversity to individuals. Isn't this the heroic view of history that Comrade Mao Zedong has thoroughly criticized long ago? If all the mistakes in historical adversity came from Mao Zedong, why deny the great historical achievements of Comrade Mao Zedong? You are also worthy of demanding Mao Zedong with today's conditions, knowledge, and material foundation. 7. Those who viciously curse Comrade Mao Zedong, those who laugh at ordinary people, say that Chairman Mao eats noodles on his birthday, presents Chairman Mao with a flower basket, wears Chairman Mao's badge, and even hangs Chairman Mao's head on the taxi, all belong to ignorance. He felt that he stood tall and scientific, and understood the laws of history. Chinese people who have been educated by decades of historical materialism know that Chairman Mao is a man or not a god, that Chairman Mao is a relative, and that Chairman Mao is a loved one who cares about the poor people in his heart. Going to the grave, celebrating your birthday, are you talking about it? We tell Chairman Mao what is in our hearts, and hope that in the dark, Chairman Mao looks back at the earth and sees that we have not forgotten his old man's teachings. We want to tell Chairman Mao that we don't understand what you said back then. Now as we get older and have experienced many things, we are increasingly aware of the profoundness of Mao Zedong thought. Looking up and seeing the Big Dipper, I miss Mao Zedong in my heart. 8. No one who loves Chairman Mao thinks that Chairman Mao has no mistakes. Chairman Mao has talked about his mistakes many times. He dissects himself more strictly, deeply, and ruthlessly than dissecting others. This is the same as what he admires most. Mr. Lu Xun, a thinker, revolutionist, and writer, is interlinked. Pointing out Comrade Mao Zedong's mistakes, correcting Comrade Mao Zedong's mistakes, correcting Comrade Mao Zedong's mistakes, it's great, this is a sign of our party's prosperity, and all comrades in the party have this responsibility. But right now, the greater responsibility is to defend the glory and image of Comrade Mao Zedong, and to say no to those cases that completely negate Comrade Mao Zedong. To wipe away the muddy water poured on Comrade Mao Zedong, we must fully affirm the historical achievements of Comrade Mao Zedong, including the historical achievements that were not recognized or not enough in the past, and those that were not considered to be historical achievements in the past, but are now discovered to be Comrade Mao Zedong's great historical achievement. In the past, It was not considered a historical achievement because we stood too low, looked too closely, were too selfish, had no sense of history, and did not have the political foresight and ability of the great Marxist-Leninist Comrade Mao Zedong. This lesson is not insignificant. This year marks the 130th anniversary of Comrade Mao Zedong's birth. Summarizing historical experience and reviewing Comrade Mao Zedong's great life, I believe that more and more comrades in the party will have a deep understanding of this and seriously revise their understanding. 9. Comrade Mao Zedong has been away from us for a long time. We can no longer listen to his teachings with our own ears, but many people have formed a habit of constantly thinking about the difficulties and setbacks we have encountered, the problems we have encountered, and those things that we cannot see clearly. If Comrade Mao Zedong was still alive, what would he think, what would he say, how would he be encouraged, how would we clear the fog and wave our giant hand to guide the direction? In our most difficult times, we still need to draw strength from Comrade Mao Zedong, whose soul lives on forever. In this context, the soul is not a mysterious force like ghosts and superstitions, but a Marxist truth, in which the living soul of Mao Zedong thought is projected. Huang Wang's masterpiece is nothing more than 6 words: position, point of view, method. Nothing more than 3 basic aspects: seeking truth from facts, the mass line, and independence. 10. To seek truth from facts is to proceed from reality in everything, and to decide our policy according to the actual situation. Chairman Mao was already so ill in his later years. He received the American president accompanied by Dr. Kissinger and talked about philosophy with them, which opened a new era of Sino-US relations. He put forward the theory of 3 worlds, and based on this theory, he broke the nearly 30-year blockade of New China by US imperialism. Sino-US relations have changed, the world pattern has changed, and our external environment has undergone complete changes, leading to the possibility of reform and opening up, leading to peaceful development becoming the mainstream, causing our party to adjust its course in due course and embark on the road of getting rich. The mass line, to put it bluntly, means that the Communist Party always sits on the side of the working people. It means that the Communist Party must always be vigilant against the Kuomintang. Why did the Kuomintang collapse? And it collapsed so fast, it was like a mountain. He is the orthodox of the country, he has 8 million troops, he has the support of the US imperialists, his weapons are many times better than the Chinese People's Liberation Army, it occupies the central city, it controls all the country's resources, but he lost. Where did he lose? Defeated in people's hearts. Conversely, where does the Chinese Communist Party win? Victory lies in the hearts of the people. Why is the Communist Party popular? Because of the mass line, because of coming from the masses to the masses, turning the party's correct propositions into the conscious actions of the masses, responding to the major concerns of the people, caring about the basic necessities of the people, and becoming one with the masses. In this sense, the Communist Party is the common people. Apart from seeking the interests of the overwhelming majority of the people, the Communist Party has no personal interests to pursue. Thousands and tens of thousands of martyrs shed blood and sacrificed for the common people to live a good life. Isn't that the truth of the so-called not forgetting the original intention? The kind of prominent intellectuals who claim that they only serve hundreds of thousands of people, and that the vast majority of people are meaningless to live, are obviously singing the anti-communist tune. The rivers and lakes are not about fighting and killing, the rivers and lakes are about the ways of the world. It is said that this is Zhang Ziulin's catchphrase. Communists have lofty ideals, but communists attach great importance to human sophistication, and must not chill the hearts of ordinary people. This is the greatest human sophistication, and this is the greatest social and public opinion. The fate of China is in the hands of the Communist Party of China, and the Communist Party represents the masses of the people. Once the fate of China is in the hands of the people themselves, China will shine on the earth with its own brilliant flame like the sun rising in the east. The lifeline, the lifeblood, the starting point, foothold, and judgment standard of all things are this one. Where is the fundamental force that determines China's future and destiny? In the masses, in the people, in the careless parents. The master is among the folks. Have you paid attention to studying? Please pay attention to the excavation. Numerous fresh and vivid reform experiences. Have you paid attention to the summary? The people's status as the main body of the country cannot be relaxed for a moment. 11. Today is May 28, 2023. I flew out from Beijing to attend the Foshan Martial Arts League Global Fighting Press Conference. It just so happened that the domestically produced large aircraft 919 was flying from Shanghai to Beijing. People's patriotism was surging like a tide, and countless people said passionate words that made people cry. It is gratifying to congratulate the double flight of domestically produced large aircraft, but those who understand the history of domestically produced large aircraft are all sighing. The story of 40 years ago is heartbreaking and helpless. If Yunten can be preserved, even if only the R&D team and platform are still there, keeping track of the international advanced technology, it will not be left too far behind. It is too expensive to start all over again, and the lesson is painful. It's not about reinventing everything. Lack of money is not the reason for dismounting. Later, a lot of money was spent on importing cars, and cotters at all levels smoked from their buttocks. The common people really couldn't bear it. We can save a lot of things today by buying less cars and maintaining a research team for large domestic aircraft. Today's people may not believe that in the 1970s, China had built a large aircraft, a 4-engine jumbo jet, designed and manufactured by itself, and had complete independent intellectual property rights. The first test flight was successful on September 26, 1980, making China the fifth country after Britain, the United States, Russia, and France to be able to independently develop large jet airliners. Why am I giving this example? One of the most important legacies of Comrade Mao Zedong is to be independent, put your head on your own neck, use your own head to think about problems, and put the basis of strength on the basis of self-reliance. Of course we do not refuse foreign aid. We tried our best to save a piece of bun and a bowl of rice from our teeth, and used expensive and extremely scarce foreign exchange to import some things we didn't have from abroad, just to break through the imperialist blockade. People in the era of reform and opening up could not imagine how harsh the imperialist blockade was to us back then. Under such conditions, the self-reliant and hard-working people endured much suffering. The success of the Chinese Revolution, in a word, followed its own path. The success of reform and opening up can also use the saying, follow its own path. 12. What does it mean to go your own way? It is to insist on putting the development of the country and the nation on the basis of its own strength, and to insist that China's affairs must be handled by the Chinese people themselves, that is, there should be no father above, or that they should not rely on others to listen to the instructions of the teacher, that is, to make up their own minds about everything. Everyone in the world is pursuing modernization, and there is no one-size-fits-all model. Are there any successful examples of the so-called democratic model exported by American cannons in the world? The United States has not hesitated to instigate color revolutions and has carried out so many regime changes, which one can be used as China's standard. The diversity of historical conditions determines the diversity of choosing historical paths. Today's China came from ancient China and experienced a long colonial and semi-colonial historical period. Chinese culture, Chinese history, Chinese goals, and the Chinese way of thinking have determined that it is not enough to eat half-cooked beef, but to drink porridge, eat eggs, cabbage and tofu to keep you safe, and occasionally have a little barbecue. If you have good things, I can learn them. This is called borrowing doctrine. Good things and bad things can be given to me together. I'm sorry, I can't learn this stuff. There are many advanced things in American technology, and China wants to learn, but it guards against you like a thief. Racial discrimination, the spread of guns, the spread of drugs, the incessant partisanship, and voting politics, he pushes this stuff to you, can you learn it? 13. That's all for today. I flew over from Beijing and didn't have much rest last night. Well, I have a low-grade fever today. Thank you for coming so far to participate in the symposium. My short-sightedness may not be correct. If it is wrong, please criticize it. There are a group of people on the internet who publicize that Sima Nan's level is very low every day. I never refute it. Sima Nan's level is indeed not high. There is nothing wrong with saying that Sima Nan's level is low. But because Sima Nan's level is low, it is wrong to not let Sima Nan speak. High-level people should have the tolerance to tolerate lower-level people expressing views that are not so correct to high-level people and correct them. A low level does not necessarily mean that speaking is always wrong, let alone every sentence is wrong.